Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Techno Talks here. So today I have another speed test, and this time it's going to be between the S20 FE and the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. So the S10 Plus was released around a year and a half ago, so it is a little older, and the S20 FE has been released for around a month. So it's a really new device. It's newly released and it has all the new things that you would expect on a phone. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the specs on these phones. The S10 Plus has the Snapdragon 855, which is last year's flagship chipset, and it has 8 GB of RAM. The S20 FE, on the other hand, has the Snapdragon 865, which is this year's flagship chipset. However, it only has 6 GB of RAM. So the S10 Plus does have 2 more gigabytes of RAM, and that might affect it when we are doing our RAM management test. So if you guys have watched my speed test videos before, you already know the procedures, and so we can begin. First up, we have a boot up test real quick. Let me go ahead and boot these phones in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so they're both turning on now, and this is just going to show us which one boots up faster. It doesn't affect too many things. I don't think people usually just turn off their phones every now and then, so it's not going to affect too many things, and it's not going to show too much. However, I just like to add this test in the beginning of every speed test I do. So that was the S20 FE right there. We're still waiting up on the S10 Plus. Okay, S10 Plus. That was around a 5-second difference, so the S20 FE definitely did open it faster. It did boot up faster. So let me go ahead and completely turn on these phones, just get everything ready, and we can begin the speed test after that. Now that we have both the phones open and ready to go, we can begin. So I have my app row right here. I have my app selection. We have some stock apps, and then we have some social media apps, and we have some shopping apps, and at the end we have some games. So something I'd like to say before I begin this test is that I will be updating these apps. I will change them to the new apps that have been released. There have been a lot of releases, and some apps are being played more now, and just to have it be a little more realistic, I'm going to go ahead and switch some of these apps and update this app row. I might even remove some stock apps, since if you have been watching my other speed test videos, you already know that the stock apps don't really change between phones. They're basically the same. In the end, it only basically depends on the refresh rate, since it does refresh the screen a little bit faster, and that's what it leads to in the end. So I might even just go ahead and remove those stock apps. So since we got all that out of the way, we can begin with our speed test. Let us begin with our phone app. So phone in 3, 2, 1. So it was a little faster on the S20 FE. Let's go to messages in 3, 2, 1. S20 FE again, just a tad bit faster. Play Store in 3, 2, 1. So that was very similar right there. They were both the same. Let's go to Samsung Internet in 3, 2, 1. So that was similar as well. Let's go to settings in 3, 2, 1. That was the S20 FE. Let's go camera in 3, 2, 1. And that was the S20 FE. So the S20 FE did open the camera up a little faster. That doesn't show too much. As I said, it just depends on phones. Sometimes cameras tend to open slower on some phones, so it's not too big of a deal. It doesn't show the speed too much. So let's go Instagram in 3, 2, 1. That was the S20. That was the S10 Plus. So the S20 FE opened it up first. However, the S10 Plus did load in the final image first. Snapchat in 3, 2, 1. That was the S20 FE by a couple milliseconds maybe. Twitter in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that was the S20 FE, but that was very similar between both the devices. Let's go YouTube in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that was very similar. It first loaded up something on the S10 Plus, and then it loaded up something on the S20 FE, and then it had to load in one final thing for both the phones. So I'm just gonna call that a tie. Let's go Amazon in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that was the S20 FE. Let's go Best Buy. That was the S20 FE again, and that was by far the fastest opening time when comparing both the phones. Now we are on our games, so we might see a difference here between both these phones. I don't know what to expect yet. I haven't done a speed test between these phones before, so this is going to be my first time as well. So let us go ahead and open these apps up. So Subway Surf in 3, 2, 1. So the S20 FE went into the loading screen first, and I believe the S20 FE, yep, the S20 FE did open up the game first. The S10 Plus still loading in, still having a load time. Overall, gaming wise, you're probably going to get the similar game performance. However, that was just opening it up, and the S20 FE did beat it there. Temple Run 2 in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's okay. So the S20 FE did beat it by not too much again. And as I said, I'm gonna repeat myself, but gaming wise, the performance is not gonna change too much between both these devices. So let's go Dead Trigger 2 in 3, 2, 1. They're both loading in. S20 FE. Okay, play in 3, 2, 1. So the S20 FE did load in the first part of the game first. However, let us see. Is that the S10 Plus? The S10 Plus just beat the S20 FE right there. That's pretty nice. The S10 Plus did load it in a little faster than the S20 FE, so I'll go ahead and give this to the S10 Plus. And now let us move on to our final app, PUBG Mobile. And 3, 2, 1. So S20 FE loaded in that first screen. Still waiting on the whole game. Okay, I feel like it's going to be the S20 FE this time. And yep, the S20 FE has already got into the home screen. And there is the S10 Plus. So not too big of a difference between all these apps. As I said, you're probably not going to see too big of a performance jump between both these phones, since nowadays, even with Apple, as you guys can see, like the A13 Bionic to A14, there's not too big of a difference. And like all these new flagship chipsets, they're getting very similar. Year by year, they might be increasing in performance, but it's always decreasing, and the increase is going to be lower than what you would increase by the years before that. That's mainly because everything is getting very good and it's going to its peak, and that's the reason why we're not seeing too big of a difference between these. So let's go ahead and check out the RAM management. I'm going to skip the stock apps real quick and go to third-party apps. So Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. Do we have a slight reload right there? Maybe. YouTube. A reload on the S20 FE. Amazon. Okay, so no reloads right there. Best Buy. Okay, that's going pretty good. Okay, no reloads again. You can resume right there. As you can see. Temple Run 2. Okay, still no reloads. Pretty nice, pretty nice. The S20 FE did have one reload, so that was kind of disappointing. Not sure why, but I guess that's okay. PUBG Mobile, our final app. Okay, so no reloads there. Overall, that's some great performance for both these phones. Speed test wise, the S20 FE did open more apps first when compared to the S10 Plus. However, RAM management wise, the S20 FE did fail in one app for sure, and I'm not really sure about Twitter. It did have a slight reload there, but I'm not exactly sure if that was an app reload. So RAM management, S10 Plus, overall app opening time is going to be the S20 FE. And the reason for the RAM management being better on the S10 Plus is due to the fact that it has 8 GB of RAM. And since both these phones are pretty much the same, using the same optimization, they won't see a big difference between that. And that's why the 2 GB of RAM does affect it. So now that we're done with all of that, we can go ahead and go to our final test, which will be Geekbench 5. So let me go ahead and close out all these apps. Okay, now that we're closed out, we can go ahead and test out Geekbench 5. So I did notice some comments saying that the phones were on low power mode or whatever. However, that is not low power mode. I went ahead and set these devices to high performance mode so they can perform at their highest level, I guess, just to see how well these phones can go all the way up to basically however much power they can give out to the user. So I have Geekbench 5 open up, and I'm gonna go ahead and run a CPU benchmark. So let's go ahead and click that, and once this is over, I'll get back to you guys, and we'll go ahead and check out the scores that we have gotten for both of these phones. And we are back. So the phones are done with the benchmark test, and let's go ahead and examine these results. So we have some pretty interesting results here. Let's go ahead and first check out the single score for the S20 FE and the multi-score for it. Single score is going to be 696, and the multi-core score is going to be 3200. And for the S10 Plus, the single core score is going to be 747, and the multi is going to be 2364. So what's interesting is the S10 Plus does have a higher single core score by not too much, around 50, and that's not going to affect it too much. However, the S20 FE definitely beats the S10 Plus by almost 1,000 points right there. So this goes ahead and shows us that the S20 FE is definitely going to be the faster phone and the higher performing, well, the better performing phone out of these two, and the scores show it to us. So we've come to the final thing, and that is about it for the test. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.